There is one incredibly important idea that I take into every single mix and master that I work on, and it's this. What's going on, y'all? My name's Torvik. I'm a full-time audio engineer, producer, and session musician, and today I want to talk about one of the most important and vital ideas that for me has helped shape my approach to mixing and mastering. And the approach to this as an idea actually has less to do with exactly what you do and has more to do with the consumer's experience of your final mix and master. And the idea is simply this: how loud can the consumer, the audience, the listener, turn up your mix until it hurts? That might seem incredibly simplistic. That might seem like the most basic idea you've ever heard in your life. But I want you to take a step back for a second and actually think about what this means. If there is anything within the structure of your production or mix that is distracting, overly exaggerated, harsh, abrasive, or unbeneficially resonant, that is going to be to the detriment of the listener experience. Although we oftentimes say to mix quieter to find a really good balance, the listener, on the other hand, is oftentimes listening to their music loud. Whether that's at an event or a club, it's in their car stereo, in their headphones, or out of their TV and soundbar. The consumer experience is not the mix experience. That's why one of my favorite mental tests is how loud can the listener push this mix before it sounds harsh or abrasive to listen to. And that forces me to constantly revisit some of the pain points of the mix process and some of the more abrasive things that are happening in the structure of the production or the instrumental and within the vocal production as well. This might be gain staging or level imbalances in the mix as a whole, exaggerated EQ curves, specifically in the far low end and the far high end, say 2000 hertz and below and 8000 hertz and above. This means revisiting and taking care of unbeneficial resonance in the mix, some boominess in the low mids, some ringing that happens at 1500 or 2000 hertz. This might mean revisiting your percussion and making sure that your hats and your snare aren't too sharp or too transient and that they actually fit into the production structure seamlessly. This might mean also rechecking one or two elements that are potentially robbing you of some headroom in your mix, forcing you to make some decisions on the mastering side that don't really benefit the full structure of the song. This, of course, could mean checking for exaggerated vocal processing that are making the vocal feel abrasive to listen to. Heavy plosives in the mid and low end, harsh sibilants in the top end, or even just exaggerated high frequency excitement on the top end of the vocal, making the vocal feel harsh and brittle. All of the things I mentioned and many, many more are things that I continually double check and revisit to make sure that the listener has the best possible experience. And it really does truly come all the way back around to that initial point. How loud can they turn up your mix and master before it hurts to listen to? As an example, let's just say your low end, 150 hertz and below, is incredibly inflated and boosted. You've got it pushed like 5-6 dB to get this heavy, boomy, massive sounding bass. If the result of that imbalance is when people listen to that track in their car, it just absolutely obliterates their system, rattling everything, and they can't actually hear anything else that's going on. There's no distinction or pocketing of the different elements within your mix. Then they're going to completely miss out on the experience of that song because the low end inflation has completely wiped out clarity for all of the other elements in the mix. The same thing goes for the other side. Let's say you're mixing a production and an artist and you have the high end inflated dramatically. You've boosted 10K, 7 dB for the air that everyone's talking about. You have this bright, crispy, brittle vocal. The hi-hats are slicing through the mix, but it's so exaggerated that it becomes brittle and abrasive to listen to. If someone wants to work out to this said track and they're trying to be motivated and hype and energetic in the gym and they really need this track to help them do that, they really can't turn it up too high in their headphones before it feels harsh and abrasive to listen to, and then they're going to turn it down. And no one wants to be turning down their music when they're looking for additional energy. You want this track to fit right into the playlist of everything else that's on the market that they're also listening to in this environment, which means we need a great balance that works across all systems. So if your lead pop vocals are so bright and airy that it's impossible for a major venue or someone who's working out or someone who's listening to music in the car to actually turn it up to a point of enjoyment or even past enjoyment to just hype and energy, then you've missed out on the balance of that mix, and that is to the detriment of the listener once again. So when you're working on your productions, when you're working on your mixes and your masters, really keep this idea in mind of how loud would I or anyone else be able to push this before it starts to hurt. The goal is that you have such a clean, beautiful, harmonic, musical balance to your master that any system can handle it, and any consumer, any listener, any audience can crank that song as loud as they possibly could wish to without it causing any issues to some extent. You want them to be able to really enjoy a vibrant, open mix that they can enjoy to the fullest on any system that they have. You want your mix to have such a great balance and such a great compatibility for different devices that you can listen on your phone and it sounds good. You can play it through your Sonos soundbar with your TV and it sounds great. You can listen in a 2003 Honda Accord and it sounds great, and you can listen through a Bowers & Wilkins system in another high-end luxury vehicle and it sounds amazing as well. And then it can be played at a show or an event or a restaurant or a club and it all sounds good. It all sounds balanced and cohesive. If that's not the case, then we need to make sure that we go back through all of those elements that we mentioned earlier and maybe some additional ones, maybe a few less in your case, to make sure there's a good balance to the mix and that there are zero distractions to the listener from the experience that the artist or the producer wanted to relay to their fan base. One of your primary goals as a mixing engineer should be to remove as many distractions as possible from the creativity and the art itself so that there is an accurate and pure and authentic translation of that art to the consumer, to the listener, and to the audience. If you're able to do that, no matter what your experience is, no matter the style or the genre, then in my opinion, you've won as an audio engineer. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like content like this about audio engineering, mixing, songwriting, production, session work, whatever it may be, then definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, turn on the notification bell, and hopefully we'll see you very, very soon. Peace.